When the document on the left was presented to me, I was told that it was found in an old trunk that was now buried. When I first saw the document, I thought I was looking at something holy. I had butterflies in my stomach, original. The paper was parchment. There was all of this shading. And then I was also told that it had been folded up and placed in a dresser drawer and had been there since the early 60s. I thought for sure I was going to be fortunate enough to have found an original document. However, that was just my first moments. I immediately grabbed the magnifying glass. I started going over the document and looking at it, and I was just so excited. I took copies of it, I took pictures of it. I I just began to examine the document. However, as I began to study, I learned that a pharmacist had discovered how to make parchment paper. And by dropping some compound that he was preparing one night and arriving back at his desk the next day and finding it had created parchment paper on the paper it had spilled. Then I found out that in the early 50s, they began to make lithograph copies on parchment looking paper and began to sell them at world fairs traveling all over across the United States. I also found the original document online and I began to compare it. And everywhere there was an ink glob on the copy that I had, there was an ink glob on the copy of the original. Every stroke, every copy. And just as those original butterflies had just fluttered so excitedly in my stomach, I felt the sickening point in my stomach where I had to realize this was not an original document, it was a copy. Upon giving that information to the person who had presented it to me, they were really seeing dollar signs. They took it to a museum in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The curator of the museum even made the news channel. The curator of the museum said it was the most excitement they'd had there in a very, very long time. I knew just exactly what he felt like because I knew what I felt like when I first saw the document. But it was a copy, and it was not an original. That is one of the things document examiners do, and ethical document examiners are always going to tell you the truth.